It is 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and the moment of truth has arrived.
Okay, guys, it's a big night for us. Let's have a great show. Here we go.
Thanks, Bill. I'm Brett Baer, live from Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, guys, you're doing great. Megan, I need you to make a sports reference. People like that.
And they are waiting to come out, lined up one after the other, just like, you might do at a sporting event. What is it? Is it basketball?
Yes.
Nice. Jump in. Say you're in the home of the Cavaliers. The crowd will love that.
We are in the arena that the Cleveland Cavaliers play in.
When we did our pregame warm-up, we were in the locker room, like the actual locker room.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now make a joke about Carly Fiorina. Say she opened up a can of something.
I bet these guys are glad that Carly Fiorina did not appear in the 9 p.m. hour because, boy, she unleashed a can, if you know what I'm saying.
Great. Chris, Brett, laugh now. Well done. All right, guys, I'm getting hungry. Chris, can you hit the buzzer for me?
Someone points a gun at your head and
thanks. If you guys want to go to commercial, I got a lot of snacks back here. Just nod your head if you're going to come back here for snacks.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, awesome. Megan, I got a cookie cake back here, Megan. I can have it ready for you. Just give me a sign. How big a piece do you want?
Cleveland after a short timeout.
Okay, got it. See you guys soon.
Next.
I'm Greg Gutfeld, but please tonight call me G-Love. Here's what's coming up tonight on the big show. One debate down, 73 more to go. Who won, who lost, and who needs a back rub? Also, Hillary proving once again she's a woman of the people as women leave her in droves, probably to hook up with Bill. And humans destroy a hitchhiking robot. Could this be the start of the human-robot war? Perhaps. I've noticed my Roomba getting quite aggressive. Let's get started, America. So like a circus, Thursday's debate was intense. The moderators were tougher than Danny Trejo's face, making Common Core questions seem like highlights. That's because each one focused on candidate vulnerability, forcing them to move beyond their pat platitudes or their own mythology.
Knowing what we know now, with faulty intelligence and not having security be the first priority when we invaded, it was a mistake. I wouldn't have gone in.
Because somebody doesn't think the way I do, doesn't mean that I can't care about them or I can't love them.
I'm going to cry. The questions hit everyone where it hurt. A necessary role because later their opposition is going to do the same thing, only worse. If a candidate can't answer tough questions, how will he or she, I have to say that, stomach a debate with someone who really wants to hammer the stuffing out of you?
I defunded Planned Parenthood more than 4 years ago, long before any of these videos came out.
We feel like despite our generosity, we are being taken advantage of. And let me tell you who never gets talked about in these debates. The people that call my office, who have been waiting for 15 years to come to the United States. And they paid their fees, and they hired a lawyer, and they can't get in. And they're wondering maybe they should come illegally.
The first thing I intend to do is to rescind every illegal and unconstitutional executive action taken by Barack Obama.
Yeah, but look, this type of preparation is nothing new. It's why Rocky went to Russia before the Drago fight. You have to go to the toughest place imaginable before the fight if you want to beat a giant. If he went to the beach, he would have lost. Instead, he went to Siberia and he won. You see my logic here? The good news, not only did we learn a lot about each candidate, their temperament, their humor, their instincts, it turns out that a lot of people watched it with us. Thursday's debate had more eyeballs than a fly convention. Flies have lots of eyes. It was the most viewed cable news show ever, bigger than Ronan Farrow. This means that millions who never experienced the clarity of Carly, the articulate sincerity of Marco, and the disarming charm of Ben Carson did so that very night. For an anticipated debate that had more action than the last Mad Max film, maybe the circus element that I detest so much actually helped get the word out.
That's a completely ridiculous answer. I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from other people. How are you supposed to know, Megan?
You support
what are you supposed to? How are you supposed to? No, I'll tell you how you
get a warrant.
Let me.
Get a warrant. America just learned that when it comes to candidates, the Republicans have a deep bench. By comparison, the Democrats have a stool. It's a disgrace.
Period.
So, let's start analyzing Thursday's event with some very important experts skilled at the complex art of debate. Please welcome members of the New York City Urban Debate League. We have Fady, Bintu, Silma, and Aida. Oh, thank God I got that right. All right, I'm going to go to you first, Fady, because I like your tie. Who do you think won the debate and why?
Well, I would say Marco Rubio won the debate, and the reason for it is because he seemed so prepared and confident for what he's going to do as president, and went into each issue with so much detail that it shows that he's really prepared, and he countered all the others by telling them that, no, this is how we need to do it.
I see the successor to Special Report right there. Bintu, who do you think lost?
I definitely think that Donald Trump lost. In my own opinion, Donald Trump has no idea what he's doing up there.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Who did you like up there?
I agree with Fady. I liked Marco Rubio. He knew exactly what he was doing. When he got on stage, he knew what he was going to say, and he knew what was going to persuade the people to agree with him, take his side. He just knew what he was doing, and I like that because I'm all about professionalism, and that's what he had that most of the candidates up there didn't.
Very good. Silma, let me know, who did you like and who did you dislike?
Well, I like John Kasich because John Kasich bringing out really good points, and I dislike Rand Paul because all of his points were not as strong as Marco Rubio's or John Kasich. All of his points were not that great.
Yes. I agree with you, by the way. I don't think Rand Paul's points were that great either. All right, Aida, who did you like, and who did you want to hear more from?
I like Ben Carson. He had an interesting twist. Because he works with brains, he thought that, well, we need more intelligence, and he brought that to the table. He thought that, well, as a candidate, he needs to bring intelligence and things of that nature to the table.
That's good. Before I move on to my other panel, I want to ask you, Fady, do you ever try to debate your parents over stuff? Like if you want to stay out late or get money to go out, do you ever try any of your debate tricks on your parents?
All the time.
Yes?
All the time. It's all about convincing them to do it. It's just like a debate. You convince them to let you have a certain item or get you to go somewhere. It's all about convincing them.
Bintu, do you have any dirty debating tricks that you could give me? Because I'm terrible at debating.
I would probably say there's always some type of videotapes of your opponents debating. You just got to take their weaknesses and use it against them.
Very good. Silma, do you ever get nervous? And if you do, how do you combat it?
Well, all the time, because every time it's a big debate, well, I combat it by just being myself and trying my best.
I like that's a good tip. Aida, how do you practice? How do you get better?
Well, I use pens and I put them towards my mouth to make sure that I don't stutter as much and elaborate on my words.
I do that too. I put my pen in my mouth just so I'll shut up, because I never know when I'm going to say something completely stupid, which is almost all the time. You guys did great. Thank you so much. I don't even think the people I have with me now will be able to surpass your expertise. So joining me on the couch, the second hottest Kennedy since George, it's Kennedy, host of Kennedy, weeknights on Fox Business Network. And he's so bright, I use his face to fry ants. It's John DeVore, Internet Action Force Editor-in-Chief. That sounds like a comic book job. And she's here because it keeps her off the street begging for beer money. It's Joanne Nosuchinsky. And he's so sharp, you can't carry him on a plane. It's comedian Dave Smith, host of the podcast, Part of the Problem. I like the name of that because I feel that sometimes I'm part of the problem, Kennedy.
Gosh, and there's the finger.
There's the finger. Tell me your overall thoughts of the debate. A lot of people are saying it was too harsh.
I think that the trial by fire was wonderful, especially for the first debate. And it showed that the moderators took this very seriously, took the subject matter very seriously, and the candidates all have a lot to answer for, whether or not they have a record. So I appreciated that, and I just hope that when the Democrats are exposed to a more liberal forum, that, you know, Fox News counterparts do the same thing, and they hold them to the same standards, because I think it's a really effective thing, especially when you have a large part of the country undecided independents.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing, John, is if the moderators weren't as tough, that would be the story. like, oh, Fox News went light on the candidates, correct?
I think you're absolutely right.
Thank you. And moving on. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm joking, John.
Look, I haven't had the opportunity to further my liberal agenda.
Okay.
You know, those moderators, the three of them, they brought a serious game to what has been a really silly campaign so far. I thought it was great. You know, I think as a liberal, I support every single candidate up there.
Yes.
Especially Chris Christie and Ted Cruz, the guy who's going to cancel Dancing in America.
Yes. Is he canceling Dancing in America?
It just seems like he'd play that role in an 80s movie.
Dave, we've never met before, so I'm quite excited to see your opinion on this. Who did you like and who disappointed you?
Well, I liked Rand Paul, but full disclosure, I love an angry libertarian.
Yeah,
so that's just what I'm into.
Yeah.
Listen, I know I might be the only person in America who thought he won the debate, but I also just feel imagine being losing someone in 9/11 and then having to suffer through a hug from Chris Christie.
Oh, that is tough.
It's just not fair.
That is tough. You are a terrible person. There was that was a hug debate. They were accusing each other of different kinds of hugs.
Who hugged who?
Yeah, exactly. Joanne, you were watching this debate. We're going to be talking about where you watched it later. What were your thoughts? If you had, I know I use thoughts plurally. But what was your thought?
I do think that the moderators asked some difficult questions, but I think that they were very fair questions. And truthfully, a lot of the candidates up there didn't even answer them. They did a lot of the pageant swerve, you know?
Yeah.
They go around the question to talk about what they really want to talk about. So it wasn't much of a debate so much as just saying whatever they wanted to say, which I think in the first one is kind of important, like you said in your monologue, to get the American people to see some of these candidates for the first time.
Yeah, because everybody's been cruising on their own mythology of who they are, and it was great because each question I thought went and exposed that.
And it's a really important thing. Like, if debates serve one purpose, it's to be able to defend yourself and your own record and make a case. Like, I believe it was Fady who said, you know, you have to make that case and change people's minds. People like Ben Carson on that stage, although he's polling very well within the Republican Party, there are a lot of people watching that debate who are seeing him for the first time.
Right.
And they're always going to get a chance, like whoever the nominee is going to get long speeches. They'll have a chance to just say what they want to say. Why shouldn't we see them grilled, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
The important function of debates now, though, are to knock politicians off their script. Because these aren't really even debates. No one's talking to each other.
Yes.
This is one of the only opportunities that you have to knock a politician off his or her, talking points and get them to reveal something extemporaneous.
Oh, but we did have the split screen, and I really appreciated that. And I appreciated the way the debate was organized. I know I work here, but I have to say, even as an objective observer, I really appreciated when Chris Christie and Rand Paul went at it because
you could see their faces.
Exposes a huge rift within the Republican Party. There was actually a very important exchange that will certainly be continued.
The most important exchange of the night, I believe, if I may say that.
Do tell.
Oh, please. No, I've got to go now. More on the candidates when we come back. But first, on Monday, the Republican presidential candidates were invited to take part in something called a Voters First Forum in a place called New Hampshire. Haven't been there. Not everyone did well. Jeb Bush seemed happy to be there, but avoided an important question entirely.
On legal immigration, does the illegal immigration problem or crisis, should that affect the number of folks we let in legally?
Welcome back, America. We're back talking about the GOP candidates, or GOP for short. You know, Barack Obama had Yes We Can, and now Carly Fiorina has found herself a mantra.
Hillary Clinton lies about Benghazi. She lies about emails. She is still defending Planned Parenthood, and she is still her party's front runner.
She did lie about Benghazi. She did lie about her emails, and she did lie about her server.
So, will Carly go Farley? Joining us, she's as stable as an IKEA dresser in a windstorm. It's our op-ed, Katherine Timpf from National Review. All right, I thought Carly did great, Katherine, but I'm wondering, am I impressed by her because of the competitors around her, which were kind of lackluster? I mean, Jim Gilmore, you know, he could make Lurch from Addams Family look sexy.
I forgot he was there. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, there was nobody there. Lindsey Graham, he kind of looked like he was reciting a research paper from memory. Montgomery in the 3rd grade. A lot of other people super boring, but she really crushed it. She came out and crushed it. She's classy. I'd like to see her on the bigger stage, being a star. She's a star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave, she has no political experience, I believe.
Yeah,
Does that matter?
Great. No, that's wonderful. I owned an HP while she was at Hewlett-Packard, so she's done more for me than any politician ever.
I got HP in college. I had to freeze it all off, America. No, I don't even know what that means. I have no idea. That was not even a real joke. Dave, so you're okay with her having no political background?
That's a plus.
Well,
I think that's always a plus.
I am okay with it because so many of these people on the stage kept patting their own backs all night. And I understand it's important for the American people to understand what you've done in the past and what you'll do for the country in the future. But she spent all of her time actually acknowledging the problems that we have and what she would do to fix them rather than saying what her political background is because, well, she doesn't have one.
That was like Ben Carson talking about he does surgery and nobody up there has done brain surgery.
Use it to your advantage, which I think she's doing.
Yeah, thank you for interrupting me.
Yeah.
DeVore, as a liberal, I bet you can't wait to attack her for being a woman.
I can't wait. She makes me want to vote for Hillary twice. She had, I don't even want to get into...
Yes.
She had passion. And I think that counts for a lot, especially since so many of the candidates in both the B team and the primetime, they had the passion of, you know, like they had a passion of like that guy who runs the continental breakfast at your hotel.
Okay.
Like they had no passion, and she did, and I think that is what a lot of you are responding to.
Yes, I think you're right. Kennedy, she stood out.
I called it on Outnumbered the day before. I assumed that she would stand out because she has been doing so much media jousting. She has been holding press conferences. She's been taking questions, open-ended questions, not necessarily from audiences that that she has curated. And I think that served her well. She learned from her political failure running for Senate in California. She learned a lot from that. She learned what she was missing, and she also learned what she was doing well. And she really schooled the candidates on that stage. I want to see her on the main stage again, but the question is, if it's another 10-person debate, who do they swap out to bring Fiorina in?
That's a good point. I don't know.
No one was saying, by the way, before this, that it would be an advantage for anyone to be in the small debate, and she kind of flipped that around.
Nope. I said it because as somebody who's been at the kiddie table at Thanksgiving, you always get more food because the kids are terrified of an adult at the table. They have the best food. They get to eat early. I get there, and I said, because of my height. Wait, I want to go. She was with on Chris Matthews' show. I don't know if anybody saw that. It was quite a confrontation because I
was one of the 9 people.
Well, yes, exactly. And it was about her comments about calling Hillary a liar. And it's very hard to get Chris Matthews to shut up, and I think she did it.
I didn't say she lied about everything. I was very specific, very fact-based, actually. You are the one who's made a generalized comment now about her, not me.
Well, once you call a person, once you say a person...
Excuse me, secondly, I will debate her.
Go through your list.
I will debate her on the facts
list of where she's
and
lied.
the issue. Benghazi, emails, and server. I will debate her on the issues facing this nation. I will debate her on her positions. I will ask her, for example, how she can possibly continue to defend Planned Parenthood. I will ask her why she continues to say she's a champion of the middle class while every single proposal she has put forward makes crony capitalism worse and worse and worse.
At the end, you don't see the end there. He's just completely quiet. And she made Matthews into mincemeat, Kennedy.
She did, and she held her own, and that's why she did well in the debate, because she's got a substantive response for just about anything, and she can make lists.
Let's skip John, because we know he doesn't care. Dave, good, bad, indifferent?
I thought that was amazing. I got a thrill going up my leg. I love it. That was liberals can never, they can't debate. They're great when they're with 2 other liberals around a panel, but as soon as someone...
Shut up.
It's just
Shut your face.
See, look at you, John. You're falling apart.
Look what she did to Chris.
I know, it's pretty
He's
good.
a lion. He's a lion of the liberal cause.
Like Cecil. He's like a
oh,
small
God, why'd you
treasure.
bring up Cecil?
Yeah, that's still too soon
much,
for Cecil. Joe?
I love it. She shut him down. That's what you got to do. When someone asks you for a list, you give them a list. And she did.
Yes. KT, thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, notice how because she was a conservative woman and he was a liberal dude, there was no sexism controversy about that. However, she held her own because she's a conservative woman and we're strong.
There you go. Somebody's got to go to the gym. My God. I could floss with those arms.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Time to take a break. Later in the show, we'll show you what Joanne and Katherine were doing during the break. Spoiler alert, they watched the debate the same way I shower in my pajamas. But first, more tape from Monday's Voter First Forum in New Hampshire. Apparently, Lindsey Graham is a world-class magician.
Real quickly, 30 seconds, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Good evening.
True, that's true. In my opinion, it's never too late for the candidates to try to make voters feel like they're just like them. Hence this segment, Pandemonium.
It's Pandemonium!
Paid $25,000 for that. Hillary Clinton sat down for an interview in South Carolina estate, sipping some lemonade and laying on her southern accent.
Jamie, I'm delighted to be here. I love sitting here and rocking, so thanks for giving me the chance to do that. A little guy from Arkansas. I've said a lot. I said, I'm not running for my husband's third term, and I'm not running for Barack Obama's third term. I'm running for my first term.
That was about as real as Joe Biden's hair. Kennedy, isn't this the purest evidence that she's a full-on fake? She might not even be a human being.
I thought I was watching an episode of Dukes of Hazzard, and those darn Duke boys are at it again. I'm sitting here rocking on my porch.
Could it be, Katherine, that she has some kind of disorder, like Sybil? Do you remember the Sybil had 13 personalities? Could it be that Hillary is actually legitimately another Southern person?
Yeah, I'm a little young, so Sybil's not something I really have seen, but I'm familiar with the cultural reference. Yeah, she really creeps me out a lot. I mean, did you see her eyes and her it didn't look very human to me. To make her likable, you should be yourself, not just try to be the other person.
But to be yourself, you have to have a self.
Yeah. Also, don't always be yourself. That's bad advice. Nobody likes anybody's real self.
That's true. I'm never myself. I'm another guy that I murdered in '78.
Great job.
All right, Dave. My theory is, as Katherine has pointed out, the more you know of her, the more it's one big no. It's like eating cotton candy. You have a little bit, but if you have more, you throw up.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, because cotton candy's got like 2 good bites.
Yes, it has 2 good bites, and then you're sick. It's like the toffee peanuts they sell in Midtown.
Ooh, you threw me off with how good that analogy was. No, look, Hillary Clinton was absolutely being one of herselves. She was being the Southern one. And she used to have a very thick Southern accent. You remember in that tape where she's laughing about getting that child rapist off? She had a really thick accent in that.
That's
you remember
true. Yes.
the tape where that guy raped a little girl and she was laughing about it, and there was no feminist outrage in the age of feminist outrage?
That's a good point. We should bring that back up. Yeah, John, how would you like that?
Would you like to see my Hillary tattoo?
Do you have a Hillary tattoo?
Across my chest in thug script.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Great.
She's a pretty weak candidate, don't you think?
And she will be up until when she wins the presidency. Look, fake, over-the-top Southern accents worked for George W. Bush, so maybe it's going to work for Hillary
You think
Clinton.
he has a fake Southern accent?
He's a blue blood from New England.
Really?
I think he was raised mostly in Texas.
No, as a young man, he's the product of the finest northeastern educational institutions. He's a Yank.
Yeah, but okay,
All right.
here's
But don't you love that he's already blaming Bush?
He was consistent with that. I mean, it's like, say what you will about George Bush and his policies, but Hillary Clinton, fading in and out, and we've seen this from Joe Biden. Al Gore was the worst at that.
I just realized that conservatives are deeply romantic in some ways about what they want their politicians to be, but this is politics.
No, this was obviously inauthentic, though, because from her emails, we know that she prefers iced tea, not lemonade. Why is everyone ignoring the point of the video?
That is so true. That is so true. Very good point. And one to transition off of. President Obama dropped a bomb on Republicans while defending his Iran nuclear deal this week.
It's those hardliners chanting death to America who've been most opposed to the deal. They're making common cause with the Republican caucus.
He said caucus. Well, does that make Chuck Schumer one as well? Schumer is one of the president's biggest allies, a Democrat's Democrat, but even he can't get behind the deal. I guess he wants death to America, too. Or at least Death to Smoochie, a really fun movie to rent if you have some time over the weekend. Underrated, I think. I have solutions for this, Dave, but was that fair to compare Republicans?
I think all the kids from that first segment are wondering what renting a movie is.
That is very true. Kennedy, there are two beliefs here.
Yes.
One is Iran wants to wipe entire populations off the map. The other one is a desire for détente. So Obama can happily believe in one, but then dismiss the other. Does that make sense?
I don't even think he's made a good case for détente. And, even John Bolton questions whether or not that's a philosophically sound principle. I mean, I think it is. I think if you actually have a few other actors in the Middle East with nuclear weapons, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I will say, if you are so opposed to Iranian hardliners, then why on earth are you doing a deal like this with Iran? It doesn't make any sense.
It does. Go, John.
I'm just saying, Obama's big mistake is not cutting a secret deal with Iran.
Nicely done.
You like that one?
Katherine, I have a theory I want to throw out, which you could ignore and answer anyway. I think the solution is for America to build and give the bomb to Iran, because it's not going to be used. The bomb will not be used until they use it, so they'll never know if it works.
The bomb will not be used until they use it?
Yes, so we give them the bomb, right?
Is he making sense to anybody else right now?
Listen, you woman wearing fake glasses.
Go for it.
Give them the bomb. They never know it's ineffective. It's filled with candy.
Candy.
But they won't know until they use it on Israel. So they drop it, and it's a giant pinata.
So then we'll just slowly be killed with artificial sugars.
Oh, there you go. All right. Still ahead. Jon Stewart is dead. Tired of doing his show. We'll discuss this. But first, let's check in with our live studio audience. Thank you for being here, everybody. Quick show of hands. How many of you think my butt looked awesome in these jeans when I walked into the studio today? Guess I'm keeping them around. Size 32, if you don't mind. It's a story the mainstream media won't touch. Robot hate crimes. Why was the friendly bot left to rot? I speak of a hitchhiking robot who was murdered earlier this week in Philadelphia, or to coin a phrase, the city of brotherly love. Hitchbot, who couldn't move by his own power, was created as a social experiment by a group of Canadian researchers, oddly all named Claude. After successfully hitchhiking across Germany, the Netherlands, and Canada last year, its creators gave it a shot at traveling across the U.S. The trip began in Massachusetts, bound for San Francisco, but only made it as far as Philly before someone damaged the bot beyond repair. Later, an op-ed in the New York Post, which is owned by our parent company, Piercing Pagoda, asked, was the Hitchbot killing a hate crime? Dead robots, hate crime, the Dutch? This is how it starts, or what I like to call
Robocalypse.
Joining me to discuss our robotics correspondent and Fox Business Network reporter Jo Ling Kent, who, by the way, is a robot herself, the Jo Ling Kent 3000, a fully functional automaton with a retractable cup holder. Jo, hate crime?
Robot crime is so complicated.
Yes.
This robot had big dreams. It was going to Vegas. It was going to Yellowstone.
Yes.
It had big plans for itself,
Yes.
even though it couldn't think for itself.
Yes.
And as a small bucketed body, I mean, it doesn't deserve this. This is horrendous.
And by the way, he wanted to play the slots, which is kind of like having sex for a robot.
Oh. No.
You know, Jo Ling, I know that people think I'm crazy when I talk about robot rights. My theory is time is infinite, right? Time goes on and on and on. It's only a matter of time before we create robots that are indistinguishable from humanity. It could take 100 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, but it's going to happen because we have the time. And when it happens, we're going to need rights to protect these beings, because these beings will have feelings, because robots have to have feelings, because if they don't have feelings, then they're cold psychopaths. Does that make sense to you?
Totally not.
No?
Yes, of course it does. I see. Hey, look, Greg, you're not completely off the mark here. Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, perhaps you can call them brothers now, because they are also very concerned about killer robots coming to life and essentially attacking other countries. So there is this scientific community concern, but I just don't know why you're concerned.
The only handicap a robot has right now is a plug. You know, they got to be charged. So we think everything's okay because, like, you know, we can unplug them or just let them drain. But what's going to happen is robots can solve that by creating a collaborative battalion, meaning that robots will always have robots behind them to charge them with another battalion behind them. Do you understand?
This is called artificial intelligence.
Thank
It may sound brilliant coming out of your mouth, but it's been, you know, it's a thing already. And the issue, though, you're right, is we're on this learning curve, right?
Yes.
And then what happens when it just swings directly vertical? Then what do we do?
Yes. What thoughts?
I never want you to stop talking about this. I am against robophobia.
Yes.
And also, you're asking big philosophical questions. What is consciousness, Greg?
That's what I'm saying. Once consciousness, and then you establish what is a feeling, then you cannot deny rights, Joanne.
Yeah.
Let's get high.
Good thought. I don't know. I think, sure, we're going to cover this on the news because it's a sensational story about people killing a robot. But if you look at the data, robot-on-robot crime is actually where
That's
most
true.
of these...
How do we not know?
Well, actually, robot on
Have we
human
seen a
crime. Robot on human crime is actually pretty huge. There's a lot of deaths.
Huge?
Huge. Like millions. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I have anecdotal evidence.
I wonder, though, about Hitchbot. How do we know that it wasn't assisted suicide? How do we not know that he wanted his life to end and some wonderful human came along and decided to help him?
That is a horrible thought, that you would take away the potential for this beast.
I saw that robot earlier that day. He was very happy.
He was very. Catherine,
some drugs right now.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this? I think this is a serious issue. It may not happen in our lifetime, but maybe in your lifetime.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Oh, really?
It's definitely going to happen. Yesterday, I said thank you when an elevator door opened. And I felt really stupid at the time, but I'm not going to feel so stupid when the machines remember that and they take over and they make me their queen.
That's true. You know, it raises a good point before we go to break. Human beings right now have to really consider kind of making nice with robots so the robots remember it.
Oh, but I want to let you know, I've never heard you mention robots without mentioning robot sex. It's taken it a little far, and I speak for America when I say, come on.
Well, I don't prefer to even call them robots anymore. I think that's actually robotist.
So they're just your friends.
Well, no, they're Earthlings. If they're made here on Earth, they are Earthlings.
Let's talk more about slot machines.
All right, well, let's do that. All right. People are terrible. Okay, before we go to break, a helpful video for people of all ages. Man buns. You've seen them everywhere, recently mostly on celebrities who don't bathe, like Russell Brand. It's when a guy with long hair bundles it up on the top of his head, not like a ponytail. Anyway, what is up with this thing? We've uncovered a shocking video that argues that perhaps man buns are something else entirely. Behold our first installment of Where It Comes From.
They've been around for centuries, and most people think they're just extra hair on the heads of guys who like to take life, grip it, and rip it. But did you know that man buns are not even from this planet? They're actually creatures from the far-off galaxy of Awesometopia. But they can't live on their own. They need a host, and that's where we come in. Occasionally, man buns land on Earth to refuel on nutrients essential to their survival. Nutrients like vanity, and the inherent need of some Earthlings to set a trend no matter how stupid they look. Once a man bun finds a proper host, it makes themselves at home in cool places like Brooklyn, San Francisco, and Brooklyn. Thanks to rockin' dudes like Russell Brand, experts believe man buns could live on for the next 100 years. If you find yourself victim of a thirsty man bun, the only cure is to look in the mirror and remember, 63% of women absolutely hate it. Once this happens, the man bun will return to its home planet. This has been Where Does It Come From?
I don't know where I'm going with this.
Did they make the worst decision since Bewitched replaced Dick York with Dick Sargent? I speak of the fledgling startup known as Netflix, who announced this week it's now allowing employees unlimited maternity and paternity leave during the first year after their child's birth. Salaried employees can take off however long they need to and can return on a full or part-time basis. Netflix will, quote, keep paying them normally, whatever that means, regardless of how much time employees take off. The children will then be auctioned off to Middle-earth cannibals. Yeah. Not to be outdone, Microsoft, which makes miniature tissues, is offering 12 weeks of parental leave in addition to 8 weeks of paid maternity disability. already given to birth mothers. That's a total of 2,000 weeks. I don't even know what this means, Kennedy. You have kids.
I do.
You're, I think, the only person here that has kids.
Yeah.
Is this a good move for either company?
It's a really strange move. And
Yeah.
I mean, I see these things as being super socialist and they could really backfire. And the argument is Americans don't take enough time off. You know, that's what Virgin has been saying, IBM, and Netflix has a liberal leave policy for vacation and sick days. And, you know, I think it could eventually breed laziness or, you know, a whole host of people who get jobs that work really hard and then figure, you know what, kind of bored and burned out.
Yeah.
I'm going to adopt a child, hire a nanny with my full-time salary, and just sit around and watch Netflix.
I would just I would just join some kind of foster child group, like foster children, so I could keep turning them in when I get bored.
And then if they turn you down for your time off because of your foster child, you could sue them.
I would sue them. Katherine, you don't have children, and you don't plan to have them ever, I've been told. Will this do more harm than good?
Yes, you can't just not go to work. You can't. People say absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? But at work, when you're gone, everybody just starts to talk about you and hate you.
That's true.
So if you actually do this, your kid's going to be the only one that likes you. And maybe not, because, you know, like I said, in personal life, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I should be a mom.
Yeah, you'd be a great mom.
I'd be a great mom.
No, you wouldn't. All right, hey, Dave, is this bigoted against the childless?
Well, maybe a little bit, but this is not bad, because as long as there's not a government law that's making you do this and companies are trying it, if there is a big cost to this, if this ends up costing the companies, then no other companies are ever going to try doing this again. So this is why the free market's such an amazing thing. It's great if companies want to try this, because if it does cost them a lot, the problem is if the government writes a law, then it just costs all of us a lot and they blame it on something
That's a great point. That's like the guy who had the minimum wage to $70,000 a year and just watched his whole company implode.
Go for
But see, I think Netflix is doing this because they know people won't take advantage of it. Because most people do not take all of their vacation days because we value career and moving along and advancing ourselves over family. So I think that while they're offering this, it makes them look good and they won't lose any money on it because people aren't going to take advantage of it.
You know, John, you seem like the guy who would take paternity leave after getting a puppy.
I gotta make a baby, Greg.
Yes, you did.
I gotta make one soon. This is great because we're all pro-family.
Yes, we are.
We are all pro-family.
Very pro-family.
Maybe this is a way of Netflix trying to get us to repopulate.
Or
to have more children. Like maybe this is their grand scheme of getting people because
the Pope
there
is
have
behind.
been no incentives.
But Netflix is the worst way to repopulate. I'm telling you, you end up binge watching and you don't have any sex.
But if you binge watch Lexington Steel,
what is that?
I think that was one of the characters on Dynasty.
Yes, it was. No, but last word to you, John. I think this is a strategy on Netflix to have people take time off. And what do? They watch Netflix.
Right, because Netflix hires all of its viewers.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Okay, yeah, that's a great theory, Greg.
They do.
I just want to work less.
Yes.
That's all I want.
Well, you're on your way.
I want the money.
Under Obama's America, everyone is working less. Fewer hours. Thought I'd button it up with a bit of that. Anyway, time to take a break. Up next, something, Jon Stewart, something, farewell. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Tonight's show is sponsored by the Bob Cousy. Tired of not being able to keep your beverage cold while thinking about your favorite NBA legend, Bob Cousy? Well, problem solved. Get a Bob Cousy today.
Finally, tonight, a question that's been bugging me all week. Now, of course, Jon Stewart did not die, so don't start tweeting that. He just left his show. But the way the news covered it, you'd think he left this earth.
Jon Stewart won't be around to comment on the Republican debate.
What am I, a clown? Huh? You think? What am I, a clown? Is that what you think?
The irreplaceable Jon Stewart.
Stewart has said he's just a comedian cracking jokes, but his legacy goes beyond the laughs.
Underneath the facade of a funny man was a civics teacher at heart. Harry Smith, NBC News, New York.
That is some deep thinking. I really did think he died. Anyway, but he didn't. He's fine. He's alive. Thanks to Kennedy, John, DeVore, Dave Smith, Jo Ling Kent, Catherine, Joanne, and the students who did an awesome job from the New York City Urban Debate League. I'm Greg Gutfeld, and I love you, America.
So exciting.
I hope they look handsome.
I hope.
Selfie, selfie. Yay! We're watching the debates. Brett Bear looks so good tonight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's bringing his A game. Oh, he did that thing. That guy. He was that governor, right? He was a governor.
Nobody's crying. It's like they don't even care.
Oh!
Really bad. That was really, really bad. Seems like everybody is pro-America.
Yeah, a lot of pins. We got a
they
lot
all
of pins.
say they are for America.
Peach schnapps was the worst idea ever.
I know. What is schnapps? I bet Lindsey Graham drinks peach schnapps.
Yeah, and I bet you Ben Carson drinks red wine because it's good for your heart. He's a doctor. How long is this thing?
I don't know. It's too long.
Right? I mean, it's longer than Inception. That was long.
Nobody likes Inception.
No.
Everybody pretends to like Inception.
No.
But they...
Titanic, though, that's a long film. I could get on board, not literally on board, because it sank.
How about instead of the debates, it's like this, except it's just Law and Order SVU.
Stop it. And every time they run out of time, you hear a boom, boom.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Law and Order SVU for president.
Mm-hmm. But who would be president? You know?
Chris Maloney. Stabler.
Yes,
Stabler. Stabler. Stabler.
I don't watch this anymore.
Oh, me neither.
Can we just, let's just,
SVU?
just real quick, it's, you know, just for like a few minutes, they're doing a marathon.